So hi everybody, welcome to the mindful movement number 5. I'm going to be using a strap today, so I'm going to be using my yoga strap, and I've actually made that length so that I can bring my hands to the ends, and this will actually allow us to have the right length as we bring those arms up and over the head. So as you lift the arms up, we're taking them up and over and bringing them down towards the back. So the reason why I've got that length is because that suits my shoulders. The tighter you bring them in, the harder it is to bring those shoulders up and over. As you can see, the tighter I've brought that, the more my shoulders get locked up. What you can also use is a tie from your husband's wardrobe or a bathrobe. And I've just tied a knot in the space where I feel that the width of the strap is right for me. Again, so you've got that availability to move that up and over the head. Now, you'll probably notice with me that I have, when I move my arms, quite often I have one shoulder higher than the other. That's just the range of movement one compared to the other. And you can notice that in the video. So if ever you record yourself, you can see how your body moves. So it's quite a good idea to set up a phone to record your movement. So they're the things I'm going to be using. So just get those handy if you've got them. If you need to pause me, and then come back and start when you're ready. So just bringing those straps onto your legs, bringing your hands onto the top of the thighs. Take a nice deep breath in, bring the shoulders up towards the ears on the inhale, and then roll those shoulders back towards the hips on the exhale. Take a close of the eyes. Take a scan of the body from the top of the head down to the fingertips, down to the toes, just noticing how your body feels as you've arrived on the mat for this next, however, 30 to 45 minutes of practice. Keeping those eyes closed or a soft gaze to the floor if you're not comfortable with the eyes fully shut. I'll just give you that moment to check in with that body. And when you've taken notice of that body, start to bring the attention back to the breath. And just notice how your breath sits as you've arrived at practice. Maybe it's a little anxious, maybe it's sitting high up in the chest, maybe into the ribs, maybe into that belly. Just being aware of it, just noticing it, just being a witness. Then placing the hands onto the belly, fingertips touching. As you breathe in, see whether you can expand that belly. The fingertips maybe draw apart on the inhale, and then as you exhale, feel those fingertips come back together. Do a couple of expansive breaths like this. Inhaling, that belly blows up like a balloon. And as you exhale, that belly draws back and we squeeze those abdominals back towards the spine. Keep that going a few times to your breath. Then bring the hands onto the rib cage. As you breathe in, feel those rib cages expand on the inhale. And as you exhale, feel those rib cages contract a little, so we squeeze that air back out of the lungs. Keep that going a couple of times for your breath. Your inhale expands and feels those hands being raised away. And as you exhale, you feel those hands come back towards each other and the ribs soften. Trying to use that nose if you can rather than the mouth, unless you're holding any colds or allergies. Trying to make a slight restriction at the back of the throat. Keep expanding those ribs on the inhale and drawing them back on the exhale. Then bring the fingertips onto the collarbones. As you breathe in, feel those collarbones rise. As you breathe out, feel them relax. That slight Ujjayi breath, that slight restriction at the back of the throat, that slight audible sound to you. And that audible sound helps you as we go through the practice to connect that movement to breath. Release the hands back down to the legs. Take a hold of those straps. Find that length that you need. As you breathe in, bring that strap up towards the top of the ceiling. As you breathe out, bring it back down towards the thighs. And again, lift that strap back up towards the ceiling on the inhale. As you exhale, release that strap back down to the thighs. And again, lift that strap, really feeling the tension of the strap, pulling on one side and the other. As you exhale, release it back down towards the thighs. This time, as you take it up on the inhale, hold it on the exhale. Breathe in, lengthen through the spine. Breathe out, this time take it back behind to bring towards the bum. On the inhale, lift it back up towards the ceiling. Exhale, release it back down towards the bum. Inhale, lift that strap back up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, release it back down towards the bum. And again, raise that strap back up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, bring it back down towards the thighs. This time, inhale back up towards the ceiling. Exhale back behind the back towards the bum. Inhale, strap back up towards the ceiling. Exhale, strap down towards the thighs. Inhale, strap up towards the ceiling. Exhale, hands back down, strap towards the bum. Inhale, back up towards the ceiling. Exhale, release that strap back down and let that strap just come to the side of the mat. Bring the arms up, shoulder height. Hook that left arm underneath the right. Bring the back of the hands together, or bring the palms together if you can find a double wrap. Lift those elbows up to shoulder height. Maybe lift that gaze up towards the fingertips, stretching through the rhomboid muscles on the back of the body and contracting through the pectoral muscles on the front. Hold it here for one more breath. Then bring those elbows back to shoulder height. Twist the body towards the left. Bring it back through center and twist the body to the right. Bring it back through center and release the hands. Bring the hands behind the back. Take an interlace of the fingers. Push the hands down towards the floor. Lift the chest, lift the gaze. And then release those hands. Bring the hands back to shoulder height. This time your right elbow hooks under the left. We either find the back of the hands or find the palms. Raise the elbows, lift the gaze. Hold it here for a couple of breaths. This is eagle pose arms. Sometimes we use this in a standing balance when we wrap the legs as well. But this is really good for stretching the back of those shoulder blades, contracting the pectoral muscles. Bring those elbows back to shoulder height. Turn the body to the right. Bring it back through center. Turn the body to the left. And bring it back through center. Release the hands, take them behind the back, interlace the fingers, push the hands down to the floor, lift the chest, lift the gaze. Then release those hands. Lift those hands up towards the ceiling, bring the palms together at the top. Then release those hands down to the sides of the body. Lift those hands again back up towards the ceiling, raise the hands up to the top. And release the hands to the floor, palms facing down. Turn the palms, lift the hands back up towards the ceiling. And turn the palms down, release the hands back down by the sides of the body. Bring your right hand to the left knee, rotate towards that left side of the room. And then bring that body back through centre and take it to the other side. Left hand to the right knee and rotate to the opposite side. Bring that body back to the centre, placing your left hand down on the floor. Reach up with the right hand, send it up and over towards that left side of the room. Bring it back to the centre, release that hand down, raise up with that left hand, send it over to the right side of the room. Those sit bones nice and grounded on a block or on that cushion. Bring back to the centre. Come on to the hands and knees, remove any blocks. Just making sure we have our strap just at the front of the mat, ready for using when we do that shoulder movement in different poses. So making our way into our downward facing dog and just move that body, into our tabletop and just move that body from side to side. Just rocking the arms from one side to the other of the mat, getting a little movement through those wrists. Then if you're happy to turn the fingertips out to the sides of the mat and then rock that body again from side to side. And you'll notice you get a little more flexion through those wrists. Try not to lock too much in those elbows. Just move those bodies from side to side. And then when you come back to centre, turn the fingertips to the back, facing towards the knees. And this time come forwards and backwards, rocking into those wrists, warming those joints up. If this doesn't feel comfortable, keep the hands facing forward and rock forward and backwards with the fingertips pointing towards that short edge of the mat. And then bring that back to the centre, turn the fingertips out, rock again from side to side. And then bring those fingertips back to face the front. Keep that rock so those wrists are coming from side to side rather than forward and back. And then bring that body to stillness. Step both feet back to a plank position. Start to paddle the feet as you lift up those hips. Bringing one heel down at a time into our downward facing dog. Paddling those feet to loosen through those hamstrings, releasing through the neck, nodding and shaking of those heads. Hands shoulder width apart, feet hip width apart. And if you feel you can bring those heels to stillness now, encouraging them towards the mat, they don't have to reach. Widen through the collarbones, send those shoulder blades back towards the sit bones. Create some space in between those ears and shoulders. Come down onto the knees. Turn your right foot off the mat. Lean over onto that right side. Send the left toes back. Lift the left hand to the ceiling. Send the left hand towards the front of the room. Raise the left leg. Bring that left knee to left elbow. Reach back out again, straighten through the leg and the arm. Left knee to left elbow. Straighten out that leg and that arm. Left knee to left elbow. Straighten back out and hold. Bring that left hand down, bring the left knee down, bring the right foot into the centre. Turn the left foot off. Send the right leg to the back of the room. Lift the right hand to the ceiling. Reach forward with those right fingertips. Lift up with that right leg. Right knee to right elbow, and then lengthen back out. Exhale, right knee to right elbow. Inhale, lengthen back out. Exhale, right knee to right elbow. Inhale, lengthen back out. Hold it there for a breath. Then bring the right hand down, the right knee down. Turn the left foot back onto the mat and give those hips a little rock from side to side. Reach forward with the hands and let the chest sink down towards the mat. Bring the forehead to the floor if it reaches, or maybe stack it on top of a block if you need to. Relax the shoulders, lengthen the arms, push into the big toes so the tops of the feet are pushing into the mat. Then come forward onto the belly. Bring your elbows underneath your shoulders. Tops of the hands facing up, palms facing down. Widen the legs out to the width of the mat. And then push those pubic bones into the floor. Lift up the chest. Hold it here for a couple of breaths in an active back bend, pushing into the tops of the feet and the toes. Pushing into the hands and the forearms. And then bring yourself onto your right side. Bring your right hand under the ear. So make sure both legs are nice and level. So both feet are stacked, ankles, knees are stacked, hips are one on top of the other. This left hand is helping you to ground. So just push those hips forward. Then as you breathe in, lift up with that left leg. As you breathe out, release it back towards the other. Breathe in, lift up that left leg. Breathe out and release it back to the right. Breathe up and lift. Breathe out and lower. This time as you breathe up and lift, hold it there for a couple of breaths. Really squeeze the outside of that left glute as you lift that left leg up nice and high. This left hand stabilising, left toes back towards the shins. Really creating some strength and stability in the outside of that left hip. One more breath to hold. Then release that left foot back down. Come back into Sphinx position, so elbows under the shoulders, widen the feet. Push those pubic bones into the mat, relax the shoulders towards the hips. Really lift up through that chest, lift up through that gaze. And then taking it onto the opposite side. So bring the feet together. Bring your left hand underneath the head to support. Your right hand comes down onto the mat. And we stack the heels, the ankles, the knees, the hips. Once you've found that stack, took the tailbone down. As you breathe in, raise that right leg up as high as you can. And release back down on your exhale. Breathe in and raise that leg. Breathe out and release. Breathe in, raise that leg. Breathe out and release. This time taking it into a hold for a few breaths, lifting that right leg, right toes back towards the shins, bums tucked under, belly's drawn back so we're not flaring through those ribs. Using the outside of that right hip to lift that right leg. One more breath here. Then release that right leg back to meet the left. Roll back onto the belly, back into Sphinx pose. Open the legs, push into the tops of the feet, push the pubic bone into the mat. And then release that chest back down. Bring the big toes together. Bring the chest back towards those thighs. Push into the hands and feet, lift up the hips and squeeze those heels back. Have a paddle through those feet, a little nod and shake of those hips. And then walking the feet towards the front of the mat, bending the knees as much as you need to bring those feet underneath those hips. And let those sit bones come close towards the floor. Keep the chest on the thigh, bring the arms to the ears, then bring the hands to the chest and lift up with that body, but keeping those sit bones nice and low. Tuck those tailbones down, draw those bellies back. Holding it in chair position for a couple of breaths. Push into those hands, engage those forearms, biceps and triceps. Then release the hands behind, come up onto the toes into what we call a drinking bird. Squeeze the shoulder blades together, balancing on those toes of both feet. Holding it here just for another couple of breaths. Then release the heels back down, bring the arms up towards the ears. Bring the hands back to the chest. Fold over the legs. Walk the feet back to the back of the mat to find plank position. Holding it in plank for a couple of breaths. If you need to drop the knees, drop the knees. Or keep those knees lifted, heels drawn back, crowns forward. Paddle the feet as you start to lift those hips. Start to squeeze those heels back one at a time. Then walking the hands back towards the feet. Again, bending those knees as much as you need to. Let those chests sit on top of those thighs. Bring the sit bones low, bring the arms to the ears, and lift the chest away from those thighs. Sink those hips a little lower. Bring the hands to the chest, push the palms together in the centre. Don't let those ribs flare, draw them back towards the hips and tuck those tailbones down. Bring the hands behind, come onto the toe tips of the feet and squeeze those shoulder blades together. Holding it here for a couple of breaths. Strengthening through those legs. Next breath in, release the heels down, raise the arms to the ears. Then bring the hands to the chest and fold over those legs. Walk the hands back towards a plank position. Holding it in plank for a couple of breaths. And then drop down the knees, step your right foot through in between the hands and take a hold of that strap. Bring your body so the shoulders stack over the hips. Stabilise into the feet first, so maybe you need to walk those right foot out to the side a little. Bring the hands out to the width of the strap. Your breath in raises the hands up towards the ceiling. Your breath out releases those hands back towards that right thigh. Breath in, raise the hands back up to the ceiling. Breath out, release those hands back towards the thigh. Raise those hands back up towards the ceiling. Keep sunken in those hips. And release those hands back towards the thigh. This time, raise the hands up towards the ceiling. As you breathe out, release the hands behind the back towards the bum. Raise the hands back up towards the ceiling. Release the hands back towards the bum. Raise the hands back up towards the ceiling. And release the hands back towards the bum. Next breath in as you raise the hands back up. Your breath out, bring the hands down. Release the strap to the floor and bring your right knee back to meet the left. Rock those hips a little from side to side. Turn the fingertips out to the sides of the mat and move through those wrists. And then bringing the fingertips towards the knees and bring that rock forwards and backwards. And then bringing the hands back to the sides, rock a little from side to side. Bring the hands back towards the front. And this time, step that left foot through in between those hands. Take a hold of the strap. Bring the shoulders over the hips, sink into those hips. Your breath in raises those hands up to the ceiling. And your breath out, release that hands down to the floor. Breath in, raise the strap. Breath out, release the strap to the thigh. Breath in, raise the strap. This time your breath out, release it towards the bum. Breath in, raise the arms, sink the hips low. Breath out, release the strap to the bum. Breath in, raise those arms. Breath out, release that strap to the bum. Breath in, raise those hands. And this time, breath out, release the strap to the floor. Bring that left knee back to meet the right. And this time, take a couple of rounds of cat-cow. Breath in, lifts at the head, lifts at the bum, drops the belly. Breath out, fold everything back in, chin to the chest, tailbone tucks. Breath in, lift the head, lift the bum, drop the belly. Breath out, fold everything back in, chin to the chest, tailbone tucks. Come back to that neutral point. Step both feet back to a plank. Hold it here for a couple of breaths. Then lift the hips, squeeze the heels back. Maybe paddle or just come straight into that downward facing dog stillness. Then starting to walk the feet towards the front of the mat. As those feet come under those shoulders, take a bend into the knees. Raise the arms, then lift the chest. Bring the hands to the chest, palms together. Tuck the tailbone down, draw the belly back. Sink into those hips a little lower. Release the hands behind, come onto the toe tips. Squeeze the shoulder blades together to create some space in that chest. Hold it here for a couple of breaths. And then release those heels, raise the arms to the ears. Bring the hands to the chest. Push the palms together, activate the arms, sink the hips. Release the hands down to the floor. Step both feet back to a plank position. Hold it here for a couple of breaths. And then lift the hips, squeeze the heels back. Then starting to walk those hands back towards the feet. Bend the knees as much as you need to. Those feet are hip width apart. Let those sit bones drop down. Bring the arms to the ears and lift the chest away from the thighs. Tuck the tailbone down, belly drawn back. Bring the hands to the chest. Sink nice and low in those sit bones. Really engage those thighs. Then release the hands behind, come onto the tiptoes. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Gazing towards the front of the mat, shoulder blades back, down into those back pockets. Release the heels, bring the hands back up, biceps by the ears. Bring the hands to the chest. Release forward to that forward fold. Walk the hands back to a plank. Hold it in plank for a couple of breaths. Drop the knees if you need to, if the arms are fatiguing. But keep pushing actively into those hands. If you can lift those knees, lift those knees. Then make your way back to down dog. Squeezing those heels back. Shoulders relaxed to the hips. Then coming down onto the knees. Bring your right foot through in between those hands. You can either keep that knee down again if you wish, or if you're coming with me, tucking the back toes under, lifting that back knee. Take a hold of the strap. Bring the shoulders over those hips. Widen the hands to the length that you need for your shoulder space. As you breathe in, raise the hands up to above that head. As you breathe out, release them back to the thigh. Lift up on your inhale. Release down on your exhale. This time lift up. And next time you bring those straps back to the bums. Lift up on your inhale. Release back on your exhale. Lift up on your inhale, all the time staying low in those hips. Back on your exhale, that back heel pushes back to straighten that back leg. Lift those hands back up and over those heads and release it back towards that thigh. Bring the hands down either side of that right foot. Step back to plank. Take a paddle of the feet as you lift up the hips and squeeze those heels back. Coming back down onto those knees. This time bring your left foot through in between the hands. Again, choice to stay down on that back knee if you wish, or tuck those back toes under, lift that back knee, take a hold of the strap, bring those shoulders over those hips. Breath in, raise those hands up and over the head. Breath out, release those hands back to the thigh. Breathe in and lift, all the time keeping that back leg nice and straight, front leg bent. Breathe out, release. Breathe in and lift. This time take the hands back and down to the bum on the exhale. Lift to the ceiling on the inhale. Release back on the exhale. Lift on the inhale. Back on the exhale. Lift on the inhale. And this time bring that strap back up and over. Release the hands to either side of that left foot. Step the left foot back to a plank. And then paddle those feet as you lift up the hips, squeezing those heels back, nodding and shaking of those heads. Start to walk the feet towards the front of the mat, keeping the hips high, the knees bent as much as you need to, bring them hip width apart the feet. Start to bend into those knees, lift the arms up to the ears, lift the chest away from the thighs, tuck the tailbone down, belly back, draw the hands to the chest, sink into those hips a little lower. Bring the hands behind, come up onto the tiptoes, drinking bird, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Holding it here for one more breath. Release the heels down, lift the arms to the ears, bring the hands to the chest. Release the hands to the floor to a forward fold. Walk the feet back to the back of the mat. Hold it in plank for a breath. Paddle the feet as you lift at the hips, squeezing those heels back. Walking the hands back towards the feet, bending the knees as much as you need to. Feet hip width apart. Drop the bum, raise the arms, lift the chest. Tuck the tailbone down, belly draws back. Bring the hands to the chest. Sink low in those hips. Bring the hands behind. Come up onto those toes, lift up those heels. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Then bring those arms back up, heels down. Palms come back to the chest. Fold over those legs and just hanging forward fold for a couple of breaths. So you may have your hands on the shins, the ankles, or they may meet the floor. But trying to stretch those legs as much as you can through that posterior chain of muscles. Release the neck, give that head a nod and a shake. Then walking the hands back to a plank position and holding it in plank for a couple of breaths. Remember, drop the knees if you need to. Lift the hips, squeeze the heels back. Then come down onto the knees. Step your right foot through. Tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee. Drop the back heel. Take a hold of the strap in your right hand. Lift the left arm up and over to find warrior two on your left facing side. So bring the hands into the centre and take a hold of the strap or your tie. Shoulders and hips face the long edge of the mat. Stay bent in that front knee with that right knee turned out. Your breath in raises the hands up over the head. This time your breath out releases them down to the bum. 3 of these. Inhale, lift the hands to the ceiling. Exhale, release the hands to the thighs. Inhale, lift the hands towards the ceiling. Exhale, release the hands to the bum. Inhale, hands to the ceiling. Exhale, hands to the thighs. One more time, hands up towards the ceiling and hands back towards the bum on the exhale. Lift the hands back up towards the ceiling. Release them down to the thighs. Bring the strap back into that hand of the right. Lift the arms, warrior two. And then windmill the hands down either side of that front foot. Drop the back knee, bring the right knee back to meet the left. Just take a rock of those hips from side to side. Turn the fingertips out to the edges of the mat. Keep that rock going. Then turn the fingertips back to the knees if you can, and then rock forwards and backwards. Really working into the mobility of those wrists. So working the wrists and the shoulders a lot throughout this practice. And then when you bring those hands back round, bring your left foot through in between the hands this time. Tuck the back toes under, drop that back heel. Bring your strap this time into the left hand. Windmill your right hand up and over to find warrior two, right side facing. So I'm taking it from the back for you now. So bring those hands onto the ends of the strap. Turn the shoulders and hips to the long edge. Make sure that left knee's bent and we're dipping into the hips. We're turning that left knee out. Your breath in raises the hands up to the ceiling. Your breath out releases those hands to the bum. Inhale, lift to the ceiling. Exhale, hands to the front. Inhale, hands to the ceiling. Exhale, hands to the back. Inhale, hands to the ceiling. Exhale, hands to the front. Inhale, hands to the ceiling. Exhale, hands to the bum. Inhale, hands to the ceiling. Exhale, hands to the front. Bring the strap back into the left hand. Find warrior two just for a couple of breaths. Then windmill the hands down either side of that left foot. Bring that right knee down, left knee to meet the right. And then take a round of cat-cow here. Breath in, lifts at the head, lifts at the bum, drops that belly. Breath out, folds everything back in, chin to the chest, tailbone tucks. Bring it back to a neutral space. Cross the feet over or swing the legs around, bringing the bums to the mat, bringing the feet towards the front of the mat, bums into the centre. Straighten out the legs, bring the toes back to the shins. Breath in, raise the hands up towards the ceiling. And your breath out, just gently fold over those legs. Bring the hands to wherever they reach. Relax through the neck, relax through the shoulders. Try not to use those arm strengths, just let them relax by the sides of those legs. Roll the shoulders in one direction, then take them back into the other. Slowly curl back up through that spine. Stack the shoulders over the hips, bring the arms up to shoulder height, and slowly relax down towards that floor. Nice and controlled, using those long limbs and that core strength to bring that body down to the mat. And when that head's released, turn the palms up, take a bend into both knees. Heel toe the feet out to the edges of the mat. And then just windscreen right the legs in one direction. Back through centre, over to the other side. Do that a few times just to neutralise through that spine. Relax through those hips. Let the knees drop inwardly to the centre. Take a turn of the head in one direction, back through centre, over to the other side. Do that a few times in both directions. Just to loosen out through that upper part of the spine, the cervical part of the spine. Bring that head back into the centre, heel toe the feet back into the middle. Let the knees drop out, the soles of the feet come together, and just rock those knees from side to side just to massage into that lower back. Then bring those knees back together in the centre, bring the knees into the chest. Just have a rock of that body from side to side. Maybe take circles with knees in one direction. Take circles through the opposite way. Squeeze those knees into the chest. Keep the lower spine on the mat, the shoulder blades plugged into the floor. And then release those feet. Release them long to the ends of the mat. Let the feet drop out to the sides. Let the palms face up. If the lower back feels a little uncomfortable, push into the heels, tuck the tailbone down. Release that lower spine a little more into the mat. Then maybe give those hips a little rock from side to side. Take a long, deep breath in through the nose. Long sigh out through the mouth. Take a scan of the body from the top of the head down to the fingertips, down to the toe tips, just checking in with how your body feels. If you come across any tight spots, give those muscles a squeeze and then let those muscles release. Let your breath become its own natural, automatic breath. Relaxed through the feet, the ankles, knees and hips, the sit bones, the spine from the base all the way up to the neck, shoulder blades and shoulders, belly, ribs, collarbones, elbows, wrists and hands, the whole of the head, the whole of the face, relaxing the jaw, the forehead. Let the tongue drop away from the roof of the mouth, let the lips gently part. Eyes soft. Taking this moment to consolidate the practice you've just done. Being grateful for everything your spine has allowed. Releasing tension through the hips and the shoulders. Just finding this space. Noticing the space in the body that's created as you're breathing in and out through either the mouth or the nose. Noticing everything giving to the floor as you breathe out. As you breathe in, feeling light and lifted. As you breathe out, stable and grounded. Bringing the awareness back to the fingertips, back to the toes. Wriggling the fingers, wriggling those toes. Maybe rotating the wrists, the ankles. Maybe taking a full body stretch, stretching through the fingers, stretching through the toes. Maybe arching into that lower back. Then bringing those hands up and over the head, bringing the knees in towards the chest. Maybe have a little rock of that body from side to side. Then taking a roll over onto your side, make a pillow with the hands. Take a couple of long, deep, easy breaths here. Then when you're ready, slowly making your way into a seated position, either cross-legged or on the knees, keeping those eyes gently closed, placing the hands on top of the thighs. Take a long, deep breath in, bring the hands up and over the head, bring the palms together, then bring the hands down by the chest, soft gaze down towards the floor. Have peace in your thoughts, have peace in your words, have peace in your hearts. From my heart to yours, Namaste.